Spring has sprung, my friends. This is Texans Playbook, and I'm Drew Doherty here outside NRG Stadium. A lot going on in the world as far as transactions, and we'll have more on that next week on the show. But this week, we got a wrestling superstar in Booker T, who's a big-time Houston Texans fan. Plus, we're going to do some fun work in the community, but we begin with a superstar in Will Anderson Jr. He had a fantastic 2024, and he's got big goals for 2025 and beyond. Here is Anderson after the whistle.
Will Anderson's nickname is the Terminator.
The Terminator with a sack on Herbert.
He's been everywhere for Houston.
It's called game record.
We are witnessing the development of a very, very special player.
And it's Anderson who gets home, shot out of a cannon.
Eaten alive by Will Anderson Jr.
The kind of person he is, the kind of player he is, and that's a once-in-a-generation type of player.
First, I just like to start by saying I'm so proud of this team, and this team is blessed, man, and favored.
Don't worry about it. It's gonna work, baby. Let's run. Hey, we run into the ball.
Rod, he's just an amazing D-line coach. I can't rave enough about him.
Hey, game is on us. Hey, let's show up and show these boys who we are. Texans on three. 1, 2, 3.
Helped me learn a lot, just more about being free. This was the freest I've been in a long time.
Hey, can't wait to watch you play. Let's go to work.
Will Anderson was there.
Defensive line, they dominated tonight.
Getting Daniil, getting all those guys in the building, man, like, I always tell people, like, I'm firing Daniil is like ice, and then we collided. It's just a great balance.
Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, is this not the best edge tandem in the entire league?
Will Anderson Jr. brings him down.
He calms my demeanor down. I look at him, and I know everything's going to be okay. Me and Daniil was like, no, we're going to do this together. Like, you my brother. Like, I eat, you eat, and we're going to wreak havoc together. He's taught me so much about this game, and that's what makes him special, and I can't wait to see what he continues to do, and I know he's going to get that gold jacket. I just feel like the people in the locker room and the people upstairs, like, we all have the same common goal, you know what I'm saying? So, like, why not give it all you got?
Pocket, look out! Anderson knocked it away. That ball is alive.
Will Anderson Jr. brings his sack total to 10.5.
Congratulations, young boy.
I'm glad that, God has blessed me enough to have this platform to reach other people and be a blessing to other people. And I hope we can touch in other people's lives and bringing people closer to, Texas football.
Great game, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Man, it means the world to me. When I say I'm so blessed and so grateful, man, like, it's a blessing, bro. Like, I was talking to my coach, and like, I'm just like, bro, I honestly don't know what God's plan is and, why he's called me and chose me to be here, man, but it's special, and I'm so grateful for it.
Down he goes. Big sack, Will Anderson Jr.
I'm not satisfied where I'm at. I got a lot of growing to do, and I'm excited for this offseason.
Hold it today.
I love this opportunity. I love the Texans. I love Coach D'Amico. I love the guys in the locker room. I love playing here. I love the fans. There's no other place that I'd rather be. I just want to continue to take this place to places it's never been before and leave my legacy here. And keep growing with these guys and keep building something special. And I know it's going to be a good thing that's coming in the years to come.
Stick with us because Booker T is coming on Texans Playbook. It's a GOAT Talk with Andre Johnson after a quick timeout.
Texans Playbook is sponsored by Community Coffee, strong as our roots, by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Can you dig it, sucker? I can't do it justice. That's what Booker T made famous, that catchphrase, back in his wrestling days in the WWE and the WCW, and really even still now. He's a legend. He's a GOAT, a greatest of all time, and so naturally, he came on GOAT Talk with Andre Johnson and Jonathan Joseph, and those three had a very fun conversation.
Man, tell us a little bit, what got you into wrestling, Book?
Just looking for something to do, man. I went to prison, actually, when I was 21. And when I got out, I was, wondering what I was going to do. And my brother actually got me a job at this warehouse. And I worked there for, a while. And I proved, that I could, get back in society. And what was really, really cool about it, I was working, like I said, at this warehouse for this guy. My brother had the opportunity to go to wrestling school. I didn't have the money, but proving myself to this guy, working for him for like a year straight, from 7 in the morning to 7 at night. He paid for my tuition to go to the wrestling school. And man, it was a blessing. It was a blessing. It was $3,000, $3,000 that I didn't have. And the rest is pretty much kind of like history,
Was there ever a moment where you was just like, damn, like I made it, like, or you felt like the moment was like super, super huge?
The moment I really thought I made it was, because, I was a kid from the street. I never really made a lot of money or anything like that. When I got into professional wrestling, I didn't think it was a moneymaker or anything like that. I was doing it because it was just an escape. It wasn't on my radar, like I say, as far as me going on and doing what I've done in wrestling. I would have done it for free. I've done it for free. And then one day, we got the phone call, and our first contract was like $75,000, and I was like, wow, you can get paid this kind of money to actually wrestle. I think that's what I was like, we all right, we've made it, because that 75 grand for me, man, that was a huge jump from making like 20 grand a year to making 75 a year, and that was the starting rate. And I was like, man, I knew it was so many more guys making so much more money than I was making. And I was like, man, by the end of the day, I'll be making, more than those guys. But now when I first started making some money in wrestling, I felt like I had made it, I knew the sky was the limit, though. I knew I could make so much more, but it wasn't about the money per se. It was just about me having a job. Me finding myself. I think that's when I feel like I had made it. And just to give you a little backstory, I was working at that warehouse, right? And I was working 6 days a week. All right, but my boss would give me time off to go do some shows when I need it, right? So I had a trip to go to Japan. It was the first time I had ever been on a plane before, right? It was the first time I'd ever been on a plane, seriously. And I'm on a 15-hour flight to Japan. And I was like, but it was crazy, right? But I was working that 6-day-a-week job. But when I got to Japan, all those people knew me because I was on this show on ESPN. So it was like I was a star there. And then I was like, man, I came back home. And then I had another trip, and I went to Korea. And then I went to the Virgin Islands. And when I went to the Virgin Islands, it was really sick because the brother was like really over like Rover. Everybody on the island knew who I was, and I was like, wow, this is freaking cool. And I was thinking in my mind, I was like, man, maybe I'm going to have to quit my job. It was stupid. You know what I mean? So it was just finding myself and realizing that I found my purpose in life, and it was professional wrestling. It saved me.
We're not in the wrestling world, so we don't really understand, what comes with that. But was it hard, because you had been, think about it, you're 11-time tag team champion. So to branch off into your own thing, how was that, like, the shift with that?
Well, my brother and I, we got into this, we started out as singles wrestlers. He was the Super Collider, and I was G.I. Bro, America's Greatest Hero. But it was a seamless transition going from tag team wrestling to singles wrestling. I always wondered, how good I was. I always wanted to test myself, as a singles wrestler to see if I was, championship material. And I got the opportunity one time by one of the guys, his name was Rick Martel. He was going to become the television champion this night. And he's from Canada, and he thought he was just coming to do some promos. So he didn't bring his gear. He left his boots and everything at home. So they said, man, we got to, switch the title tonight. So we're going to put it on Booker. And I was like, oh, man, they put the title on me, you're never gonna get it back. That was my thought process, you know. So they put the title on me that night, and boom, that's when everything started clicking, man. That's when everything started, really happening for me. 6-time television champions later, you know what I mean? Totally changing the game of television championship reign, So it was, for me, it was something I was looking forward to trying, singles, and just to, like I say, see how good I really was, So for me, I was always, trying to find that something that I could connect with my people, but I didn't want to alienate anybody at the same time. I wanted everybody to be a part of that journey, but I still wanted to make sure I represented for my people, just because I knew it was going to be some young black wrestler that came up behind me, and I needed to show them how the game is done. These are the protocols. These are the steps in order to get to that next level. So I think that's what, I've always been thinking about, from, my name having I tell my students, you got to have a championship name if you want to be champion.
Don't you move a muscle, because after the break, we've got more Goat Talk with Booker T here on Texans Playbook. Thank you for checking us out here on Texans Playbook. Booker T is a Texans fan, and he's had quite the charmed life. He talked a little bit more about that in his conversation with Andre Johnson and Jonathan Joseph on a Goat Talk.
Earlier, you spoke a little bit about, you like to react. What was your first reaction when you seen Andre whooping up on Cortland Finnegan in that football game?
Hey, man, I'm always down for some action, man. I like it. It's like a hockey game. When they throw the sticks down and just go run and fight, that's what you come to see.
Out of all the matches you've had, what would you say was your biggest one or your most favorite?
That's really a hard question, man. It's really a hard question. I don't know why, but because maybe I just never really thought like that. You know what I mean? Wrestling for me, it's always been a job, and for me, of course, winning the world title was a great moment. Winning my first world title, it was a moment. But honestly, man, I swear to God, I never really think like that, because it's always just been a job for me. It's just like, it's like literally like a 9 to 5. I'm putting my boots on and I go to work and I go do it, and I want to come home and I want to forget about it until I have to go back. I never thought about the world championship. I really never did until it happened. I was like, man, there's no way they're going to give me the world title. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So I just totally didn't think that way. I just thought about being the best in the locker room. You be the best in the locker room, stuff happens for you. You know what I mean? So when it happened, it was a very, very topsy-turvy night. I didn't know if I was going to win. It was a lot of drama going on. It was like the most drama-filled night in professional wrestling. And then I find myself, 10 minutes before having to perform, winning the World Heavyweight Championship. There again, I found out about 10 minutes beforehand. And boom, I had to go out and do it. And I was like, wow, this is a surreal moment. I'm winning the world title, And I win the world title, man. And it was a moment that there again, I questioned myself also, just because as a black man, I wondered, was, the wrestling world, ready for a black champion? Were they going to cheer for me? What kind of fanfare I was going to get, So I didn't even go out that night. I just stayed in my room, and I don't know, I went to sleep, and I woke up the next day and I realized, man, everybody partied for me that night, man. Everybody was drunk on Booker T that next night, man. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, So, nah, man, I think perhaps, that would be the night I realized, man, this is it. I'm the world heavyweight champion.
When I was playing, I kind of had that same mentality. I never would kind of, dwell on the past. What was it something? Because like for me, they would give us like a 2-minute warning before we would go out, to warm up on the field. But I would never put my shoulder pads on until I got that 2-minute warning. What was something that right before you knew you was going out to have a match, what was that thing that like clicked? Because I know when I put my shoulder pads on, it was time to go. Like, I wouldn't put my shoulder pads on until it was time to go out to the field. So what was your thing, or something that just like, boom, like it's go time, like we got to get in go mode?
I normally was in go mode every show, with my 2 Red Bull and my jump rope. Once I pulled the jump rope out, I felt like Muhammad Ali. I swear to God, man, I felt like I could float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, man. And I could do that jump rope for 20 minutes, before I would get ready to go out, and I would be full of sweat. I would be sweating so bad before I go out. And that's why I say for me, I ask not my students, but a lot of guys that I work with, I say, when you go out of that curtain, when you see that guy that you're working with, how many times have you really wanted to just kick his ass? And if they tell me, nah, I don't think like that, they think in the wrong way. For me, every time I went out the curtain, I wanted to beat the guy up. I want to, he was going to feel some pain. I was just listening to an interview earlier today on YouTube. I'll mention the guy's name. His name's Paul London. And he was working me in a match, and I shot him off the ropes. As soon as he came off the ropes, bang, I hit him. And I broke his nose. What I say is he turned his head the wrong way. It's gonna hurt a little bit. It's gonna be as real as it possibly could be. So for me, once I get in that zone, I'm gonna be willing to give it as well. I'm gonna be willing to take it as well. If I whack you, whack me back. That's the way it's got to be for the people. All right, it's good for TV. All right, we'll apologize later on in the back. Especially if I break your nose. I apologize about it. But nah, man, once I'm in that zone, once I pull that jump rope out, I was ready to go, man. I always said, like with wrestling, you can never do what you want to do. You got to do what the fans want to see. So for me, it's always been like an out-of-body experience. And I can watch myself and entertain myself and be totally in character at the same time. That sounds really, really strange. It really does. But I've always been able to, like, just say, for instance, when I was wrestling in a match, I would always be in the front row. I would always be watching. And I would always do in the ring what the fan wanted to see opposed to what I wanted to do.
Since we're on GOAT Talk, who's your greatest wrestlers? Give me your 5 greatest wrestlers of all time. No particular order, just your.
I put JYD in there because he was the guy that inspired me to be great, because he was definitely one of the greatest African-American champions that ever did it. Ricky Steamboat was the guy that I loved coming up just because his in-ring prowess. Macho Man Savage was definitely one of my guys that I really look to emulate and want to be like.
I can see that, actually.
I say with that?
I say I can see that. Like, you say you like emulated Macho Man a little bit.
Oh, man, he was definitely a part of my King run.
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect. Man, I used to love the way Mr. Perfect went out and performed. Man, he was such a great performer. Nobody better. And then, of course, Ric Flair. I got to put Ric Flair as being, the guy that I really I emulated Ric Flair in so many different ways. Outside of the ring, I never, was one of the guys that emulated his wrestling or anything like that. But Ric Flair, he always dressed a certain way. He always looked a certain way, and he always carried himself, a certain way. And
just want to say thank you, man, for coming on here with us today at GOAT Talk, man. We always run into each other at the game, so I'm sure I'll see you soon at some point. And just want to say thank you, man, for coming on and taking time with us today.
Oh, hey, man, appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys. Anytime you need me, man, I'm always there. Like you say, bro, we hook up. We hook up.
Definitely.
Most definitely.
All right, brother. Take care.
Appreciate y'all.
After the break, you just thought he was a goofy guy in a furry costume. But Toro has books. We're back here on Texans Playbook, and Toro is a mainstay. He entertains us on game day, but he does so much more than that. When it's not one of those 10 Texans Sundays throughout a football season. He's out in the community. He's helping to stop bullying, helping to get kids ready for the STAR exam, and just providing a positive influence and entertainment aspect to fans all throughout the region. But he's also a child's author, and he wrote a book. For years, TORO has been making a difference in schools across Houston with the TORO Takes the Bull Out of Bullying program, teaching students how to stand up for themselves and others among the BULL acronym: be yourself, use your voice, leave bad situations, and look out for others. Now, that powerful message comes to life in a brand new book titled Made to be a Mascot. In the book, TORO is bullied for being a mascot, which leads him to wonder if he still wants to be a mascot. TORO attempts other jobs around the stadium, like being an equipment manager, broadcaster, on the grounds crew, a cheerleader. None of these jobs work out for TORO, and in the end, he realizes he wasn't made to be any of these things. He was made to be a mascot. 3 years in the making, this book encourages kids to be proud of who they are with vibrant illustrations by Ava Burek. Since its launch, the book has been at the heart of several key initiatives, including the TORO's Kids Club book launch event, Bedtime Stories with TORO presented by Mattress Firm, and Reading with the Pros, a season-long program inspiring young readers. It's even traveled beyond Houston, reaching students through the NFL Tackles Reading event in San Antonio and classrooms nationwide. And now you can bring the story home. Copy today at the Texans Team Shop or online at shop.houstontexans.com. Oh boy, put it on the New York Times bestseller list. TORO is now an author. That's good stuff. And this show was good stuff. We hope you had as much fun watching it as we did putting it together. So for the guys like Shane and Josh and the others, I'm Drew Doherty, and we will see you next time on Texans Playbook.